More than 21,000 public sector jobs have been earmarked to be cut. That's according to the GMB union. The figures are the latest from its online totaliser, which the union says is growing by the day.
This morning, as Birmingham City Council met to discuss its budget, there were protests at last week's announcement of 7,000 job cuts and possible reductions in public services. Andy Bevan looks in detail at the figures and the facts behind them.
Even on Valentine's Day, there's no love lost between Birmingham City Council and its staff. Today's protests by the Unison and PCS unions were in response to Friday's publication of the council's business plan. Savings of more than £300 million need to be made over the next 3 years. And with no planned increase in the council's slice of the council tax, the focus is on cuts in jobs and services. Birmingham City Council serves around 1 million people, and it's the largest local authority in Europe. On Friday, the headlines announced that 7,000 jobs would be going, and that's around 13% of the council's estimated workforce of 55,000. But 2,700 of those jobs in the schools sector are not actually being axed, they're being transferred to a standalone cooperative. So in fact 4,300 jobs will go. The council says 1,800 of those have already opted for voluntary redundancy, leaving 2,493. The council estimates that 1,500 more will take voluntary redundancy during this year, so now we have 993 jobs at risk. And of those, 302 compulsory redundancies have already been made, leaving 691, so let's call it 700. A long way, the council argues, from the 7,000 we were told.
We've got a number of announcements to make over the next few months of major investments that will create employment opportunities in Birmingham, and it's how we can move public sector employees over to the private sector.
I heard a report this morning from some business leaders who were saying that there's no prospect of the private sector taking up the slack for the number of jobs that are being talked about being slashed out of the public sector. So no, it doesn't wash with me, and I think more, unfortunately, it probably doesn't wash with my members or the business community either.
Nevertheless, the council says those job cuts will save £100 million. So where's the other £200 million coming from? Well, in council speak, efficiencies, in union speak, cuts. There'll be a review of adult services like care homes and day centres, while adult social work will be outsourced away from the council. There'll be less money for home-to-school transport services and a redistribution of cash for youth facilities. The city's museums will become trusts, and there'll be what the council calls a reconfiguration of central library services until the new building is complete. Fleet and waste management will also be reviewed, although the council has vowed not to affect bin collections. Meanwhile, on-street parking charges will go up, and you'll now have to pay in the evenings and at weekends. But will all that be enough? Union leaders say it's only the start.
This is a council saying that they are planning for not delivering public services anymore, so that they'll become contract managers, and that's the real reason behind these cuts.
So Birmingham's 1 million council taxpayers are going to be hit one way or another for those £300 million in savings. The figure could have been covered by a £5 a week increase in council tax over the 3 years, but politically that would have been seen as a vote loser. After all, councillors have their own jobs to consider.
This morning I arrived back from Abu Dhabi at 7:30. That is because I'm attracting money from all over the world, Chinese money, Indian money and Middle East money into the city of Birmingham to generate within the private sector job opportunities. We're going to do all we can for anybody that may have to lose their job here.
One would imagine there won't have been a huge postbag of cards from council workers to their bosses this Valentine's Day. Andy Bevan, Central Tonight.
As well as those job cuts that Andy outlined, we've also learnt that Birmingham City Council has today approved a new contract for its employees. The change in contract means some of those on the lowest paid wages will receive a pay cut, as the practice of receiving allowances or top-ups for doing shift work has been removed. The council says the move will lead to savings of nearly £10 million.